India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Saudi Arabia hosts US-Russia talks focusing on resetting thorny ties. Discussion to include ways to end Russia-Ukraine conflict. Europe says it is committed to Ukraine ahead of Russia-US talks. Qatar's Amir to meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi received ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Over 30 people killed and 15 others injured after a bus plunges into a ravine in Bolivia. All right, we'll get to the bulletin ahead, but first we'll get to live visuals coming in from Hyderabad House in the national capital, where the visiting Amir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, is meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. These are the visuals we are getting for you from the national capital, Hyderabad House, where the visiting dignitary Amir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, is meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Remember, this is the second visit of the visiting dignitary, the Amir of Qatar, to India. The first state visit happened in 2015, and here we see both the leaders at Hyderabad House for bilateral talks. It was an exception. In fact, the visit of the dignitary started on a very good note when Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself received the Amir of Qatar at Delhi airport, and this was in fact a gesture of love and hospitality. Prime Minister receives Emir of Qatar at the airport on his arrival, and he in fact called the visiting dignitary as his brother. It was indeed a rare gesture of hospitality. Today morning, we saw the visiting dignitary Emir of Qatar receive a ceremonial welcome at Rashtrapati Bhavan in the national capital. So both the leaders at Hyderabad House for bilateral talks. This is the second state visit of the Emir of Qatar. The first happened in 2015. Bilateral talks at Hyderabad House between India and Qatar, between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and visiting dignitary Emir of Qatar. We will keep you updated once the talks end. These were the visuals we're getting for you from Hyderabad House in the national capital, where Emir of Qatar and Prime Minister Narendra Modi are there for bilateral talks, are holding bilateral talks. We'll keep you updated. Meanwhile, let's turn focus to what else we are tracking at this hour. The United States and Russia's top delegates will meet in Saudi Arabia today. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and President Vladimir Putin's foreign policy advisor Yuri Yushakov will hold bilateral talks with US officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, White House National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff in Riyadh. The US official said the meeting was a step to determine if the Russians are serious about talks towards peace. Ahead of the much-awaited meeting, Yuri Yushakov said that talks on Ukraine will be strictly bilateral. He added that he is in Riyadh to negotiate with American colleagues and there can be no trilateral talks.
Yuri Viktorovich, how's your mood before talks? What is an ideal result?
We'll see. The main thing is to start a real normalization of relation between us and Washington.
Is there any chance that tensions would decrease after talks?
Let's wait. There are serious people. We have also arrived with serious approach.
The talks could lay the ground for a potential meeting between Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Also, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has said that Riyadh talks should actively involve Ukraine and the European Union. He said the talks open a window of opportunity, but it must be remembered that this cannot be a false closure.
Se abre una oportunidad.
A window of opportunity opens because the United States administration is laying the foundations so that conversations that lead to peace start. Well, we welcome those talks, but we need to remember that this can't be a false closure. We can't repeat the mistakes of the past.
Que no puede ser un cierre en falso.
After 3 years of conflict in Ukraine, is the end in sight? A question in focus when European leaders meet in Paris for an emergency summit and will be at the meeting between the US and Russian top officials in Riyadh today. Ukraine remains not in attendance in either set of talks. Shortly before the meeting in Paris on Monday, Macron spoke with Trump, but no details are out about the 20-minute discussion. We get you details in our next report.
French President Emmanuel Macron hosted the leaders of the UK, Germany, Italy, Poland, Spain, Denmark, and the Netherlands alongside top EU representatives and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte in the French capital. European leaders worry that Trump will freeze them out of peace talks with Moscow that will also exclude Kiev, fears that were heightened by meeting with the top diplomats from Russia and the United States in Saudi Arabia. The leaders in Paris weighed measures including ramping up defense spending to be less dependent on the US providing security guarantees to Kiev.
I think all of us are aware that we need to support Ukraine more and stronger than we are today. I'm glad that all Nordic countries and Baltic countries are so supportive, but all Europeans have to step up when it comes to Ukraine and at the same time step up when it comes to defense spending at home. Because Russia is threatening all Europe now, unfortunately.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, too, called for the unity between Europe and the United States on responsibility for the Ukraine security. He said talks on peace is welcomed, but it should not be a dictated one.
Und sie muss und kann sich auf uns verlassen, dass das
We welcome the fact that there are talks on peace development, but it must be and is clear to us. This does not mean that there can be a dictated peace and that Ukraine must accept what is presented to it. In this respect, we are working very closely with the Ukrainian president and Ukraine as a whole on these issues.
abgestimmt mit dem ukrainischen Präsidenten.
Kiev has already said it will not recognize a peace deal negotiated by the US and Russia if it is not involved in the talks. The European leaders were divided on the best way to respond to Trump's dramatic policy shift on Ukraine. UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he was prepared to consider committing British forces on the ground if there's a lasting peace agreement. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz found the idea completely premature and highly inappropriate. There was no joint statement or major announcements after the Paris meeting, apparently left for forums like the EU or NATO. Bureau Report, DD India.
Israel has voiced its support for the US proposal to take control of Gaza and displace its Palestinian residents. This comes as US Secretary of State Marco Rubio continues talks in Saudi Arabia, pushing for the resettlement of Gaza's over 2 million residents. Take a look at this report.
The conflict-ridden West Asia has become a hotspot for diplomatic efforts to find peace. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and discussed proposal for the Palestinian residents to be resettled in other Arab nations and for the US to lead reconstruction of the enclave. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has reaffirmed his commitment to the US President Donald Trump's plan. However, Arab states remain opposed. In a regional summit expected later this week, countries including Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Jordan will discuss alternative proposals. Egypt and Jordan have reiterated support for a two-state solution, calling for an independent Palestinian state.
Unfortunately, what they don't understand or they can't understand. Let me reiterate our firm position: no to displacement in Gaza and the West Bank, and the reconstruction of Gaza without displacement. I stress the importance of working to reduce the escalation in the West Bank and that a just and comprehensive peace based on the two-state solution is the only way to achieve stability in the region.
In Israel, families of hostages still held in Gaza marked 500 days of captivity on Monday. Holding banners reading "Home Now" and pictures of their loved ones, they continue to demand their release. 73 hostages still remain in Gaza, including 5 foreign nationals.
It's been already 500 days that hostages are being held in Gaza. We come here every week in order to support the families, in order to show that we are with them and they have someone to count on to keep pushing and pressing until we have all hostages back.
Today is about 500 days since they were kidnapped to the tunnels of Hamas. There are here more than 10,000 Israelis fighting for that in front of the house of Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, symbolically the name of the street named Gaza. And we will not stop until the last hostage is back home.
Released hostage Ear Horn, who was freed on Saturday, made a heartfelt appeal calling for the return of his brother still in captivity. Horn was one of 3 hostages released earlier this week. Meanwhile, Israel's Security Cabinet convened to discuss the next phase of the fragile ceasefire, which is still under negotiation. Israeli troops have begun withdrawing from some border villages in southern Lebanon following a truce brokered by Washington. Lebanon's government has insisted that Hezbollah must surrender its weapons, declaring the state's sole rights to bear the arms. Hezbollah, however, continues to defy this demand. Aarti Rana's report for DD India.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will meet US President Donald Trump in Washington next week to discuss a wide range of issues. Starmer is seeking to foster ties with Trump in a delicate balancing act of maintaining good relations with both the new US administration and the European Union, which Britain left 5 years ago. He's also hoping the UK can act as a bridge between Europe and the United States over the conflict in Ukraine, stressing that Britain could have a unique role in helping to secure any ceasefire in Ukraine. The encounter will be the first face-to-face talks between the two leaders since Trump started his second term at the White House in January. The UN appealed for $6 billion to provide desperately needed aid to people in war-ravaged Sudan as the African country faces an emergency of shocking proportions. The aim is to provide assistance to nearly 26 million people this year, the United Nations Humanitarian Agency and Refugee Agency said in a joint appeal. Since April 2023, Sudan has been locked in a brutal conflict between Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his former deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who leads the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The UN agency said that the civil war has displaced 12 million people, including around 3.5 million who have fled the country. At the same time, nearly 2/3 of Sudan's population needs emergency aid as swaths of the nation face famine conditions. In Canada, a Delta Airlines regional jet was flipped upside down after landing at the Toronto Pearson International Airport. The incident left 18 people injured, including a child in critical condition. A detailed report ahead.
Airplane just crashed at 23. Second Mike Tango medevac. Not sure what the plan is here. Just give me a second. Yeah, we've got it. The aircraft is upside down and burning.
The plane, a CRJ-900 operated by Delta's Endeavour Air subsidiary, was carrying 80 passengers and crew members from Minneapolis-St. Paul. The aircraft touched down shortly, but things quickly took a terrifying turn as it landed and flipped upside down.
When I was grabbing lunch, I hear people at the table behind me saying there was an accident at Pearson. What? And then someone at the end of the bar said, yeah, the plane flipped over. I'm like, what?
Emergency crews rushed to the scene as flames briefly erupted from the plane. Despite the plane being overturned, all 80 people on board survived the crash. The airport was closed for more than 2 hours as emergency operations were underway, causing significant delays and diversions to other airports.
But I found that you were getting constant sayings on the intercom saying that there's a delay, etc., etc. But everything seemed to be very normal. That's what I found really odd. It was people were taking it in stride. Okay, everybody's expecting a delay, but it won't really affect us.
Canadian and US safety officials are now investigating the cause of the crash.
The cause of the crash is still under investigation and being led by the Transportation Safety Board. It's not appropriate for us to comment at this time. At this time, We believe all our emergency response went as planned. We will, however, be conducting a review. This is an active investigation. It's very early on. It's really important that we do not speculate. What we can say is the runway was dry and there was no crosswind conditions.
This crash follows a series of recent aviation accidents across North America. Aarti Rana's report for DD India.
A bus crash in Bolivia killed at least 30 people, 10 adults and 4 children had been hospitalized, with several in intensive care. The driver of the bus likely lost control of the vehicle, causing it to drop nearly 2,625 feet off a precipice in the southwestern municipality of Yocala. The mountainous route, known for its sharp turns and narrow paths, is frequently cited as one of the most dangerous ones in the country. Speeding and poor vehicle maintenance have been linked to many accidents in the area. Investigation is underway. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break. Stay with us.
Timeless, boundless, and infinite. The essence of faith. The soul of Sanatan culture, from the sacred confluence of Prayag, where divinity descends to earth. Witness the grandeur, the devotion, the magic, world's largest cultural and spiritual gathering, with over 450 million devotees expected to attend. Mahakumbh, India's greatest festival of faith. Exclusively on DD India.
Welcome back. After the break, you're watching DD India Live. The BAPS Hindu Mandir in Abu Dhabi celebrated its first anniversary with a grand event aligning with the UAE's Year of Community. Sheikh Nayan Mubarak Al Nayan, Minister of Tolerance, attended as the patron of the event. He was joined by Sheikh Mohammed bin Ahmed bin Tahnoon Al Nayan, advisor for special affairs at the Presidential Court. Indian ambassador to the UAE, Sanjay Sudhir, alongside 450 dignitaries, ambassadors, government officials and faith leaders also attended. Over 20 members of the royal family, ministers and senior UAE officials were also present. The event, themed Mandir, the heart of community, brought together prominent leaders from various sectors to celebrate the Mandir's impact. A year-in review video showcased the Mandir's achievements, followed by an address from Sheikh Nayan Mubarak Al Nayan, who emphasized on the role in strengthening cultural understanding and bilateral ties. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the BAPS Hindu Mandir on February 14, 2024, marking a historic milestone for the Indian diaspora and the UAE's commitment to cultural inclusivity and interfaith harmony. Qatar's Amir, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, who was in India for a 2-day state visit, was accorded a ceremonial welcome at the Rashtrapati Bhavan, marking his second visit to the country since March 2015 at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In a short while from now, an exchange of memoranda of understanding will take place, marking a key milestone in the collaboration between India and Qatar. As part of the visiting delegation is the Qatari Commerce and Industry Minister Sheikh Faisal bin Thani bin Faisal Al Thani, who met his Indian counterpart, Minister Piyush Goyal, this morning at the Joint Business Forum in the national capital. The two leaders discussed greater economic integration between the two sides. Energy security, skill development, financial services are some of the sectors of mutual keen interest. India and Qatar signed 2 memoranda of understanding, including between Invest Qatar and Invest India, and between Qatari Businessmen Association and Confederation of Indian Industry. Addressing the gathering, Piyush Goyal said that the relations between the two sides are historical and full of possibilities.
India today provides an oasis of stability, predictability, continuity and is open for business. We are working with most countries in the developed world to expand our trading relationships. We invite companies from Qatar to be a part of this journey of growth. And I'm sure, working together with Qatar, we are bridging the potential, the huge potential that Qatar and India partnership holds.
In India is not just a transaction, it is a tradition. A tradition built on mutual respect, shared interests, and a commitment to bold economic cooperation. Our trade partnership has flourished. India became Qatar's third largest trading partner in 2024, and our trade volume surged by 51% in just 4 years, reaching $13.1 billion. These are not just numbers, they are evidence of trust. They are the foundation for something even greater.
In the final episode of Pariksha Pe Charcha, toppers from the UPSC, CSE, IIT, JEE, CLAT, CBSE, NDA and ICSE exams shared their success stories and valuable insights. Speakers interacted with students in the 8th edition and provided inspiration and guidance for students preparing for examinations. Both toppers reflect on their journey and the valuable lessons they gained from the experience. The episode was part of the 8th edition of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Pariksha Pe Charcha program, which aims to help students manage exam-related stress and provide tips for success. Election Commissioner Gyanesh Kumar will be replacing India's Chief Election Commissioner Rajiv Kumar, who took charge as the CEC in May 2022 and will be retiring today. Gyanesh Kumar is the first CEC to be appointed under the new law on appointment of the members of the Election Commission. Gyanesh Kumar has been appointed as the Chief Election Commissioner by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led Selection Committee on Monday, effective February 19th. He took over as Election Commissioner in the Election Commission of India on 15th of March 2024. He's a 1988 batch Kerala cadre officer of the IAS. As an IAS, Kumar had served departments including Finance Resources, Fast Track Projects, PWD. Gyanesh Kumar has previously worked as a Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Defence, Joint Secretary and Additional Secretary in the Ministry of Home Affairs, Secretary in the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, and Secretary in the Ministry of Cooperation. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana marks its 9-year anniversary, celebrating close to a decade of empowering the farmers of the country. Launched in 2016 by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the scheme offers a comprehensive shield against crop losses caused by unpredictable natural hazards. Now, this protection not only stabilizes farmers' income, but also encourages them to adopt innovative practices. Crop insurance is an important risk mitigation tool to protect farmers from natural calamities. It aims at providing financial support to farmers suffering crop loss and damage arising out of natural calamities like hailstorm, drought, floods, cyclones, heavy and unseasonal rainfall, attack of disease and pests, etc. Elon Musk-owned electric car maker Tesla has officially begun its hiring process in India, marking a significant step towards its long-anticipated entry into the domestic market. As per the job positions on the company's website, the posts are for Mumbai suburban area. Now, these roles include service advisor, parts advisor, service technician, service manager, sales and customer support, store manager, sales and customer support again, business operations analyst, customer support supervisor, customer support specialist, delivery operations specialist, order operations specialist, inside sales advisor and consumer engagement manager. The hiring by Tesla in India comes close after the recent meeting of company founder and American tech billionaire Elon Musk with India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the latter's recent US visit. And now we talk of sports. We talk of cricket with an eye on Champions Trophy set to start from Wednesday. The Indian men's cricket team were seen sweating it out in the practice session in Dubai on Monday. Reigning 2020 world champions, India have made the finals of the last 3 ICC events, and Rohit Sharma's team signalled their fine form by winning 7 of the 8 limited over match against England. Runners-up in the 2023 ODI World Cup on home soil, India boasts one of the world's most destructive batting lineups, but will be without pace spearhead Jasprit Bumrah, who has been laid low by a back injury. Also, Seema Mohammad Shami's impressive return to action in the home series against England was a big relief for Rohit. India will kick off their campaign against Bangladesh on February 20th at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium, after which they will face arch rivals Pakistan on February 23rd. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. And this app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us at India League, thanks for watching DD India Live.